Well, hello everybody. I am going to be streaming today a translation of a Ricardo Belmont Cassinelli. He's having a live show right now, and it's dated 9/10/19, but I guess he's just uploading it now. But he says AMLO sets Latin America on its feet. And I just thought, I haven't watched it yet, but I know he always has good, how shall I say, he's always got great, let me set my settings. Hold on, there's something wrong with my settings here. Let us set this. Aha! I need to set my stream key. Okay. Give me a moment. I'm fixing something. Gotta fix it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay, there it is. Where's it at? There it is. Okay. Gotta copy my stream key. Copy it. And put it here. Paste. All right. Show. Okay, hide, apply, okay. So now I should be able to stream. Okay, so we'll start again. Yes, I want to stream. Okay. Anyway, so the thing is, Mr. Cassinelli just got back from New York, where he had surgical repair of some cervical spine issues, and he's back, and he's only had the surgery I think a week or two ago, and he's already back to work. He couldn't wait to get started. So I haven't seen this program, but I'm just going to translate as I go, as my custom. So anyway, I'm just going to try and translate word for word as much as possible so you guys get the full effect of his words. He's a man that's very passionate about what AMLO is doing, and he feels that if the world paid attention, that the world would be a better place. So, and I think Peruvian people, he's from Peru, would really love to have the same system that AMLO implemented in Mexico. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start what he says. So he's showing a picture of AMLO where he's facing the people and lots of confetti. I guess so he's saying hello to the people in United States and Mexico and all our Latin American friends. And here you can see the man to whom we're going to dedicate this show today. And there's 1988, 2000, 2006, and 2018 when he was elected. Whom he qualifies as a teacher for Latin America. And he says, and I'm not exaggerating. So we're dedicating this program to him. Sorry, I'm eating bread. So he says, I'm going to start with a reflection that my father told me one time. They used to say that a politician is a teacher for life, or about life. But whenever a politician becomes a teacher, he has in his hands in the people, a man, a child, every man, woman and child. He will gain that these seeds will grow full of values and promises. And that's why I
los de las aulas y los
revere
de la vida.
the teachers, the masters of life and of the classrooms.
Y que merecen toda nuestra gratitud
And
y
I
aprecio.
believe they deserve all our gratitude and
Y acabe de
appreciation.
una vez por todas esa vergonzante marginalidad
And
de la
this,
que somos objeto.
this
Ellos nos enseñan
to
los
end,
valores.
put an end to this
Ellos nos enseñan
terrible thing that we've been set
la verdadera
under,
forma de vivir con autoestima.
so that we can learn the real form of life, to live with self-esteem. Like my father used to say, that little boys are men in construction, and he didn't, he wasn't in error. And he is planting, he is cultivating a future.
Para tener la oportunidad de recoger una valiosa cosecha.
And he is trying to get a beautiful crop. So you can see me here as I'm starting this program with my skin with lesions. A friend of mine who already died, he said the body is of no value. And effectively, the body functions in relation to the spirit. I've been operated 15 days ago, and I'm going. There I go. As a good Spartan, I try not to take the pain meds because I want to recognize my pain, because nothing makes you grow more than pain, and it makes you feel your life, and it can make you feel strong or weak, and there's lots of people that live like that and don't complain, and they do not exclaim, and they live in permanent pains, also the soul and the body. So today I'm dedicating this program to all the Mexicans. I want to let them know, tell you something very important, because when I was in Mexico at that conference morning, and I had lost my voice at that time, and I had lost lots of weight. I was going through a very difficult time. And so that day, everything went as if though I wasn't going to be able to arrive at the morning meeting. And at 4 in the morning, I took this taxi, and my phone, I left it in there. And then the taxi left me in the wrong address, and I had to walk several blocks, and my legs were already hurting, which I already had this chronic pain. And so then Carlos Pozos, Sandy Aguilera, and Carlos Pozos. I sometimes have a hard time with names. I might make an error. But I want to say I'm thankful, because I didn't think I was going to have a chance to talk that day. But I did say what I felt, because I think and I believe that in AMLO is the hope for Latin America. He's the teacher of Latin America. And I will now briefly explain to you why Argentina is going through a crisis that is the most terrible. It's a country that's been indebted for 100 years, and it's practically in default. A country that was so rich, that was obsessed with riches, and due to their foreign companies, they've lost their country. So their people, their government didn't even take reforms into effect. But they didn't even defend their own ideas. And it was more inclined towards nothingness. A president that only wanted to enrich his friends and to impoverish all of Argentina. And I suffer for my Argentinian friends, and for that situation also came to our country and the Peruvian people. So Chile, you can't even talk about that.
conquistado ya por el
It's
capital
already been
extranjero,
conquered
privatizado
by,
casi todo,
privatized completely
y que
and
va a
taken
pasar
over by the
también a las
capitalist
muy
countries.
próximas, que están a puertas ya.
And there's others that are already at their door. And Peru and Ecuador are subjected to the dictate of the International Fund of Money, which is impoverishing the people. And now Ecuador is finally standing up and protesting, and the press is covering it up and being quiet, and the people have to yell. And in Peru, a president closed the Congress with reason or without reason. But at the edge of the Constitution could also be considered a attack on the state. And he held on to some laws. He did put a attack on the state. But when you see a man like him, that he closes the Congress, that you know that even the most intelligent men have inclinations, political inclinations that are so strong that they're blinded, that all they care about is to drag their talent on the roads, and they look their prominence with the elites that protect them, instead of standing up like men to defend that which in their youth they defended with ardor and passion, and that used to make us believe in him and admire him. The men that change are like the chameleons. They change their color for the occasion. I want to show the way of this man, that at the third time he finally triumphed, and he never quit. And so today I want to apply something that it's not difficult to take something forward like that. And it's to have these prejudices against him. It was like what is an acronomy? It's not a history. Acronomy, it's something that you can imagine that could have been, even though it never did actually happen. It's something that could actually happen in the future, even though this possibility, which is so remote, would be like to convert a loss into a triumph. That's where you exchange the history. So at one time my father told me in front of a immense library, he said, I asked him about his friends. He said, I no longer have friends, Richard. Well, he said, friends, but all these, and he showed me all his books, more than 1,500 books. He said, these are my friends. They are waiting for me to go to them. They never bother me. And when I need them most, I go to them to supplement my soul and to grow as a man. And the actual words that could be said by any man, but these men that I'm going to read today are those that were applied, words that at one time they wrote. There's some men that write. So here's one of the books of my father, precisely. One of the books that my father, that we're going to be doing like anachrony of like something in 1,500 years. If it were Socrates, Plato, Churchill, I don't know who that is, Confucius. And if he started to think about life, and somebody would say, I didn't reserve anything and I never backed up for anything, and that's why I don't regret anything. At the end of the road is liberty. Until then, patience.
Otro se levantó y dijo,
Another one stood
la
up and
deliberación
said
es tarea de muchos hombres,
that
pero
deliberation
la
could
acción
be of many
es de
men,
uno
but the
solo.
action is
Lo
of
dijo
only
de gol,
one.
y se quedaron todos callados.
And so he said it
cuando
as a
de
goal,
gol
and they
dijo
all
esto,
stayed quiet.
reclamó su turno
And then he
Sócrates,
reclaimed
y dijo,
his
"Se puede
turn,
bromear sobre algo
Socrates.
muy importante,
He said, you can't joke about something
entonces
so
has alcanzado
important.
tu libertad."
Then you've reached
Y
your
reclamaban todos en esta reunión
liberty.
donde López
And so they
Obrador
all
miraba el
exclaimed
reloj, no estaba invitado todavía,
at this
y López
place
Obrador
where
aprendía
López
que la
Obrador
dignidad de la palabra es más fuerte
said that the dignity of the word
que
is more
gobernar un
strong
país.
than to govern a
Porque
country,
la dignidad de la
because the
palabra,
dignity
la
of the words
mantención de la misma
and
a
the
través del
maintaining
tiempo,
of the same throughout
traspasa
time
las fronteras de
will
México
cross
y se
the
convierte en la palabra latinoamericana
borders
que hoy
of Mexico,
recojo yo para
and it
trasladarla
will
a
come
aquellos
to this
hermanos
country where I
de
take
diferentes
it,
países
and I will
que
put it to
sienten
the
como
people
muchos
of different
peruanos
countries,
que nos hemos
like
quedado
other
sin patria,
Peruvians that are left
que
without
vivimos en un
a
territorio
land,
limitado
a-
y que
and
hemos
that we're
perdido de a poco
limited, and that
los
we
5
have
conceptos que
lost
forman una
our
patria.
5 concepts which form
Todo
a
empieza con
country.
territorios habitados, luego
It
se
all
forman
starts
ciudades,
with inhabited territories, a constitution which forms a republic that constitutes a nation, and the nation that constitutes a patriot. And so we return to the beginning, to the territory that's inhabited by people that don't know what their destiny is. So Peru is like Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela. It's a crisis of values, a crisis of values that were lost along the way. So more men were participants in this reunion, to which at that time López Obrador was not invited to. And they said something, he said, there's many ways to convert yourself into a loser. And the best way is never to risk yourself. And so then a young man said, that young man was born in Mexico, a modest man. And then he grew, the reunion of heroic men. And then that young man would one day be the governor of Mexico, and then the president of that country. And that's how he grew, how the spirit went growing. In the spirit of a man that I saw him 8 years younger than me, and that man, a baby at that time in the reunion of these wise men that had met together. And I listened again to the phrase, at the end of the road is the liberty. And up until then, patience, patience. Would that child have, as he was listening to the newspapermen talk about the dead, the hungry, like if he was to blame for that culture, that little boy that later would become the president, and he would listen, and he would learn the lessons of the great men. And he said, what more? And he listened to one that stood up and said, that was not identified, that the one that studies the greats has the chance to be and will someday become a great man for Latin America. And I had to stretch out my hand to him and give him a hug, that man had now become a master, a teacher, and a teacher with sweetness. The men that are like Muhammad Ali, that converts himself to Cassius Clay, and that he becomes strong, a man that could stand up against the government. He did not want to kill himself. He wanted to construct a man where they put borders and they don't put water. That little man, the little boy that listened to that conversation, that was about to liberate himself, and they looked at him and said there would be
libertad de los
the
pueblos.
opening.
¿Cuánto sabía este hombre?
How much did this
8 años
man know?
menos que
8
quien narra
years
esta
younger.
historia.
And he already had resigned himself to this history. When,
Será menor que
Ob-
yo.
when Obrador
Será más joven
became
que yo.
president, he would be younger than me.
Cuando López Obrador
When Obrador
llevaba adelante la Ciudad de México en el
had
año
the
2000,
city in front of
yo ya había
himself in
terminado
the
mi
year
tarea como
2000,
alcalde
I had
durante 2
already
periodos.
finished my job
Había
as
sido
a,
candidato a la presidencia y había
how
tenido
was
un
it, not a
rotundo
governor,
fracaso
but
por seguramente
he had a
entusiasmo
mayor for 2
de
terms,
pelear contra el poderoso
and
sin
to
medir las
fight
fuerzas,
the
porque en ese
the
momento
powerful ones without measuring the
había yo
strength.
aprendido la
And I
lección de
had
mi
learned the
padre,
lessons that my
que es
father,
preferible perder con honra que
that
ganar
it's
sin
better
honra.
to lose with
Y ahí
honor than
empecé
to
a
enter
ser un peleador de la
envy.
vida
And I
y
began to
admirar a
be
aquel hombre
a
que tenía lo que a mí me faltaba
fighter
conocer.
in life and admire that man
A
that
ese
was
niño
so
que detrás
strong,
de la rendija
and
miraba
to
los
see that
grandes
little
orbes,
boy that was looking up at the great men
hablar
to
del
listen
mundo
to
y
the
que
world,
los países no cambian
and
por
that the
el esfuerzo
countries
de un
don't
solo hombre,
change with
sino
the
porque
strength of
el
one
líder
man, but because
siembra
the leader
en cada uno de
plants
sus
in
pueblos
every one of those
la convicción
countries
de
the
que cada uno
conviction that
es el
each
dueño de su
one
destino.
can do it in his
No es
own
el líder
style.
el que cambia el
It is
país,
not the leader
es
that
el
changes
líder
the
el que
country.
siembra la semilla para
It's
que
the
cada
leader
uno
that
coseche en su
plants
espíritu
the seed so that each
los
one can
frutos de
sow
esa
his
semilla que
own
sembró
spirit.
aquel
And the
hombre.
fruits that that
Desde
man
niño
planted,
había escuchado
that little boy,
a
that
estos
that
hombres
little
que habían construido la
child
historia.
that had listened to those great men.
Dios habla más alto en la calma que en la tempestad.
God speaks
Expuso.
louder in the calm than in the torments.
Y un tonto que no faltaba en la reunión,
And then a
miró
dumb
el dedo
one
quien apuntaba a la luna,
that was not
porque solamente un
at
tonto
the
mira
meeting
el dedo cuando
pointed in
apunta a
the
la luna.
at the finger that was pointing at the
El
moon.
tonto no
Only a
mira la
dumb
luna,
one
mira el
will
dedo.
look at the finger pointing at the moon,
Todo
but
esto
not look at the moon.
empezó a
All of
convertirse.
this became
Conversaba con mi
converted
padre sobre estas
as I
reflexiones,
conversed with my
de lo que
father.
va sembrando en la vida de un niño
What-
la capacidad de convertirse en un
When
hombre
you plant
imprescindible.
in a
Entonces
child
surgió alguien y
is
gritó, el cementerio está lleno de imprescindibles.
that
Y alguien lo refutó, tal vez más inteligente.
I'm sorry.
dijo,
So he said that
los
they
imprescindibles no mueren
yelled
nunca,
that the
porque dejan
cemetery
sembradas
is
las
full of
semillas
little boys
y
that
que
don't
el
make it to
árbol
the
te dará
presidency.
frutos y dará sombra para
But the
quienes se
tree
venidera.
that's planted
Y
will
esta es la
give
diferencia
shade
entre el
and
gobernante que quiere
figs,
gobernar
and
para sí
so that's the difference. A man who wants to
y en
govern
el
for the
disfrute del
people,
poder, con el gobernante que quiere soñar.
it's not, he's not there just for his comfort, but he's there to help the people. That's why that young man wakes up at 4 in the morning to talk to his
Porque hoy
people,
día ya es un hombre.
because now he is a man and a
Yo quería
master.
decir esto que me
So
sale
I
del
wanted to
corazón.
say this, which comes from my heart.
Tal vez no lo pueda repetir nunca más.
I may never be able to
Porque
repeat
esto
it
que
again,
acabo de decir
because this that I have just
es
said,
65 años de haber
it's
escuchado a mi padre, aunque
75
tengo
years
74,
after
es
listening
que
to
yo
my
tenía
father,
casi 10 años cuando comencé a escucharlo.
because I was almost 10 when I started listening to the hymn in the library as my grandfather used to listen.
Decía que los hombres
He
valen
said
no
that
por lo que
men
tienen,
are valuable not
sino
because of
por
what
lo
they
que
have,
representan,
because of what they
por lo que
represent,
en su alma
and because of what they have in their soul. And that's when I
que había
began
que
to
buscar
know
o esperar
that I
el
had to
destino
look
que
for
pusiera.
or wait for
Entonces
destiny
ahí la
to
discusión
put something
continuaba.
before you.
Y este niño
So then the
seguía
discussion
escuchando.
continued, and this
Y
little
se
boy
paró,
stood
alguien
up,
dijo, yo reverencio a
and
los
he
maestros,
said, I revere the
¿Cuál?
teachers.
a todos, dijo.
Which one?
El
All of them.
maestro reemplaza al padre en el aula.
Because
El maestro es el que
the
siembra las
teacher,
primeras semillas.
he plants the
¿Quién de
first
nosotros no
seeds,
tuvo maestros
and
que
he
recordamos
replaces the parents.
con
So which of us
admiración hoy?
could not
Y que le
look
tuvimos por
at
obra,
him
como a
without
mí me pasó alguna vez,
admiration like I did one day with one teacher,
a quien insulté.
whom I insulted, and he hit
Yo
me,
era niño.
and I was a
Estaba
child.
siendo hombre, tenía 13
I was
años, era un
still
adolescente, me pegó,
becoming a
y
man.
lloré en
I'm
los brazos de mi
13
madre
years old,
saliendo del colegio, y mi
and
padre
I
me dijo, "Cállate
cried
la boca, Ricardo,
in the arms of my
que le ha
mother, and she
faltado el
told me,
respeto a
shut
un
your
mayor.
mouth, because you
Y si te han
are
pegado, siendo ya un
disrespected an
adolescente,
older
y sigues
man,
llorando, yo te voy a pegar también".
and he
Por
was
ejemplo,
right
que
to
tenía mi
hit
padre
you,
para
because you didn't respect your elders.
Y más tarde,
And if you
pasando
don't
los
shut
años,
up, I'm going to hit you
aquel
too.
hombre que se llamaba Choque Palomino,
And the
que era
name
mi
of that
maestro
man
de
was Choque
criminalidad,
Palomino,
ya viejo
was
él y yo
my
adulto, me pidió
man,
mil disculpas por
that
haberme
man.
pegado
He asked me
aquel
for
día
forgiveness
en el
for having
colegio
hit me in the
en el año
college
1955.
in 1955.
Yo le agradecí
And I told him I
porque el golpe que
appreciated
me
it
dio
because that
fue lo más
punishment that
grande
he gave me was one of the
para
biggest
construir
to construct
a un hombre que
a
quería
man
seguir luchando en la vida.
that wanted to continue to fight in
Y
life.
bueno,
And so
los
then
grandes hombres se
the
fueron,
great men have gone.
el niño se quedó detrás de la
The little
rendija.
boy was now behind
Pasaron los
there,
años
and the years have passed.
y se le grabó la frase,
And-
nada reservé,
And so he
ante nada
coined the
retrocedí,
phrase, I
por eso
never.
nada tengo que lamentar.
Okay, I'm going to have to
El hombre que va a
pause that.
cambiar
Hold on.
Latinoamérica,
Pause there, sir.
retrocedí,
Okay.
por eso se le grabó la frase,
Okay, so here, I want to get this because I want to make sure this is very important.
nada reservé,
I didn't reserve anything.
ante nada retrocedí,
I didn't go backwards on anything.
por eso nada tengo que lamentar.
And for that reason, I have nothing to, what's that word when you, something to be ashamed of.
El hombre que va a cambiar Latinoamérica
The man that's
está
going to
siendo
change
visto por todo el mundo el día de hoy.
Latino America is being seen throughout the world today
Los fracasados,
because the failures,
los que lo acusaron de
the ones
populista,
that accused him of populism,
los que lo denigraron, los que
those
lo
that
ofendieron,
denigrated
los que
him,
no quisieron que
offended
llegara al
him,
poder,
the ones that didn't want him to get to
no
power,
tenían miedo
were not
de que él
afraid
pudiera cambiar México.
that he would change Mexico.
Tenían miedo de
They
que
were
ese niño
afraid
que había
that
escuchado
that
estos
little
grandes
boy that
hombres
listened to
pudiera cambiar
those old
Latinoamérica.
men could change
Y se juntan
Latin
el
America.
destino y el hombre.
So
Esa es la
the
suerte.
destiny and the man
Y ahí nace
and
la esperanza.
luck get together,
Una
and there
esperanza basada
grows
en un hombre de
hope.
valores, un hombre de lucha, un hombre
A
con una
hope.
paciencia increíble.
Okay, hold on. He said, this man is so full of wisdom, I gotta put it back. Okay, I'm sorry.
Una paciencia increíble.
So this man who has this incredible patience, okay, hold on.
Una esperanza basada en un hombre de valores.
Okay, so a patience, no, and not patience, a hope that is based on a man that has the patience like no other.
Un hombre de lucha, un hombre con una
He's a man that struggles with patience.
paciencia increíble.
That's
Y
incredible.
yo no quiero hablar hoy día de lo que iba a ser ese niño hoy día convertido.
And I don't want to talk today about what that little boy was going to be someday when he was converted into a man
Presidente,
or in the
porque
president.
ustedes conocen más la historia de México.
Because you know the history better of Mexico.
Y yo solamente quiero decir que
And
esa
I
es la
only want to
impresión,
say that it's the
porque cuando
impression, because when
termine su
AMLO
mandato,
ends his
yo
term,
quiero
I
ir a
want
darle un abrazo,
to go give him a
aunque
hug,
triunfe o no, porque el
whether
triunfo no está en los resultados.
whether he triumphs or
El
not.
triunfo está en mí.
Because the triumph is not in the results, but it's in the seeds
Que se sembraron.
that he planted on the road.
Esta es la historia
That's the
del
story
niño que se convirtió en
of the
hombre para
little
gobernar México
of the little boy that became a man to govern Mexico
y ser maestro.
and be the teacher of Latin America.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very
He
much.
terminado el programa.
And so I've ended my
Nuevamente los
program,
agradecimientos.
and I want to say
Agradecimiento
my thank yous
a la
to
gente que hoy
the
día
people that are
ha
here
respaldado
today and
esta
have backed
ucronía, esta
this
historia
story
irrepetible, porque
that is
como verán ustedes,
unrepeatable because, you know,
no tengo un libreto, estoy inspirado, en
I
el
don't
sentido
have it written down. I've been inspired
soñar un poco con un futuro mejor
to
para
dream
todos,
a little with a
para nuestros hijos,
better future for us and for our children, our
para
grandchildren,
aquellos que quieren
so
recuperar la
that those
patria
that want to
que nos
recover
robaron
our country that was stolen from us
algunos
at one
años
time,
atrás para
a
llevarse,
few years
y
back,
después llevaron,
and then they took,
llegaron otros
and another
que
ones
tuvieron
came
más
and they
inteligencia, tal vez,
that were even more intelligent and stole the
pero no
rest of it,
pudieron robar el alma,
but they
señores,
could not steal our
porque el alma de
souls,
Latinoamérica
because the souls of Latino America is very strong. And this is the story. So there's more than 2,000 people watching this and accompanying us right now. That's his wife talking. And they want to say their thank yous. But I just wanted to say, wow, that was a pretty interesting monologue. I didn't know what he was going to do, but it was quite impressive. I'm always impressed by this man. I say if they were to get this guy as president, which I think he's running, they would do really well. Because he is like their AMLO. And I think Bernie is the U.S.'s AMLO, but they don't know it. They don't even know what AMLO is because the press is blocking it. What do they call it? The media. They have a media blackout. They don't want the world to know about AMLO, and they certainly wouldn't want them to know what's possible. But the world is watching. The rest of the world is watching. And hopefully they'll start to pay attention, and maybe they'll get things a little bit better for themselves for a while. For themselves, and I mean the rest of the world and the U.S., because things are not so great in the U.S. I just see the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, and my money buying less every day, and my taxes going up, and I'm not even in the worst fate. There's people in worse conditions than me. So I think, I was really impressed with him. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will try to do some more videos. Thanks a lot. Bye.